We're going to take you live to a very busy Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta. It's the busiest in the world, and the airlines are under a huge microscope right now as we're beginning the busy travel season. They're hoping to avoid all the problems that we saw last summer when, remember, 20% of all airline flights in America got delayed, on top of more than 45,000 that were canceled. We'll talk live with an aviation expert in just a moment, but first, Tom Costello is on the ground for us at Reagan Airport just outside D.C. Tom, how is it looking where you are?
Busy here. I just checked. They're averaging 4,000 passengers moving through the checkpoints an hour here at Reagan. That's a lot. Nationwide, we are expecting a very busy day indeed. The good news is we've got pretty good clear sky weather today to travel. For about 2.5 million people today will pass through the TSA checkpoints nationwide. That's about 50,000 flights scheduled for today. Listen, the FAA has opened up 169 of these high-altitude highways in the skies, trying to move flights along. In addition, and this is kind of interesting, the FAA coordinating with NASA and the Pentagon to reduce, if not completely scratch, rocket launches during high movement times for planes down in Florida, because those rocket launches can interfere, of course, with air traffic. On the roads, 37 million of us, most Americans, are going to be driving, and they're going to be paying about $3.57 a gallon for national unleaded. That's a pretty good price compared to a year ago when we were at $4.60 a gallon. This is, though, a big test for the airlines. It's why we continue to watch them, because it was a year ago when we had so many problems that began on Memorial Day, cascaded through the whole summer. So the airlines insist that they are ready for this summer, for your vacation. They've staffed up and they've upped their game. The test begins right now. Guys, back to you.
All right, Tom Costello at Reagan Airport. Tom, thank you. Joining us live right now is Mike Boyd. He is CEO of Boyd Group International, an aviation forecasting and consulting company. Mike, appreciate you taking some time for us here as we begin this holiday season and we really begin the summer travel season writ large. We've talked so much about what happened last year, hoping things are going to be better. The airlines keep telling us they've done a lot to address all the issues that caused all those problems. Are you confident that's going to be the case?
It already is the case. I have no problem with it. And of course, this holiday, you hear all the stuff about more people traveling. Look, there are not materially more airplanes in the sky today than there was a week ago. So we have the same basic air transportation system as we did a week or 2 weeks ago. So we can handle that. The real issue is we handle weather, things like that. When things get really badly off schedule, that's a problem for the airline industry, and they are bulked up. And frankly, this is the best airline industry we've ever had in terms of people knowing how to run them.
Mike, what's really interesting, you mentioned there the weather. That really is the X factor, right? We don't know where severe storms are going to hit, how bad they're going to be, and then the ripple effect of that. But the airlines keep saying they're investing more in technology. We talk so much about artificial intelligence. That's part of this. They're sort of trying to anticipate the severe weather, react to it before it hits. How is that going to change all of this, you think, in the future to try to deal with what in many cases is just out of their control, right?
Well, yeah, but part of it is anticipating. For example, an airline might say tomorrow at 3 p.m. there's going to be a line of thunderstorms, up and down the Midwest, and they'll cancel certain flights ahead of that so they don't get messed up by that. The fewer people who are affected by a downside in weather, the better. But these airlines have never been better prepared for it, and they're dedicated to making it happen. I'll be real honest with you.
Yeah, you mentioned it's not like we have a bunch more airplanes now than we did last summer when we saw all these problems. But what we do have now that we didn't then is additional staff, right? The airlines have been recruiting and doing all they can to get more pilots, to get more flight attendants, to get more mechanics. It seems like that may help a little bit this summer as well. Do you anticipate that'll be the case?
No, absolutely. That's the case. The big issue is, look, you and I both know going through an airport is like, for most of us, is like going through a minimum security prison. As a former gate agent, I know what people go through. So making that smoother and having more people to handle little problems that come up, airlines have hired the people to do that, most of them. And as a result of that, I think we're going to, look, there's not that many more people going on to airplanes that were full before. But right now there are people working with them at the airline industry who have a clue. That's a big difference.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you about the demand. We keep hearing, I mean, you mentioned it's not like we're seeing tons more people than last summer, but ever since the pandemic sort of quote unquote ended, more and more people are traveling. How do you anticipate, how much busier will it be this summer than last summer and the summer before?
Well, there's probably about 15% more capacity out there. Keep in mind, some of it's been toned down on the East Coast because our air traffic control system is a mess and continuing to be a mess. But overall, I think right now we're going to have the capacity to handle people who want to go. It is going to be more expensive because go juice, fuel is more expensive, pilots are more expensive, everything's more expensive. But the reality is you will be able to get to Omaha this summer without a delay.
That is certainly the good news. Mike, I've got about 30 seconds left. What would you tell people right now who, again, saw the chaos that unfolded last summer? They've got summer travel plans at an airport, on an airplane. What should they know?
One thing, look, always get there early. I mean, forget this stuff about, get there. If it's a family of four, please get there early. So if anything happens, you're covered. There's always going to be road issues, all these kind of things. Whatever you can do to reduce the anxiety of travel, and it's natural to the situation, be ready for something that might go wrong. But I think this summer, we're going to be very surprised.
Well, we certainly like to hear that. Mike Boyd is CEO of Boyd Group International, an aviation forecasting and consulting company, joining us from Florida. Mike, thanks for taking some time and have a great weekend.
You too, sir. Thank you.